Erev Tov Chavrim, I'm Steve Ben-Nun. You're watching Israeli News Live, and look, we just saw this image here pop up on Twitter this evening as I was getting ready to come on, and well, let's see if it even wants to play now. Here we go. This is in Hong Kong, and of course, boy, that was quick, wasn't it? Let's see if we can get this to do this over again. Um, the wow, let's see. Oh, there we go. Look at that. I don't know how well you guys can see that on the screen right there, but this is military trucks. Many of those look like personnel vehicles with military men inside of them. As far as the eye can see on this one road here, and I'm going to just quickly, just for giggles and laughs here, kind of count what we can see on the screen, not seeing what's to the left of the screen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I can make out at least 14 trucks in the image. And of course, there may be more for all I know there. And as we go on with the image there, if it's going to play properly. A lot of buffering on this. Hopefully we're not buffering on the on our screen with you guys there. They don't want people seeing that. They just don't want nobody to see this. And of course in the other direction as well, going into a tunnel, as many as you can possibly see there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I know there's 1 or 2 up underneath the bridge there as well. So we're looking, I mean, we can see 20-something trucks already, all military trucks there in Hong Kong. And so it's not a good situation there in Hong Kong. But as the title of the message here says there, you know, we may be seeing, if this is martial law, I put a question mark in the title because I can't say that that's exactly what they're doing in Hong Kong, just as I can't say that that's what's going to happen here in the United States. But I was on with John Moore on his program this morning. And of course, John had just came back from Washington, D.C., where he had gotten some intel information that in 14 months, this nation, the United States, will be in a civil war. And I know that John has been talking about that fairly extensively here recently on his program, trying to let people know to be prepared. And when I say be prepared, John's not saying to be prepared for, you know, for war, but as far as having a place of safety to be in the event something like this were to happen. Now that I could understand, you know, I wouldn't want to be in the middle of anything where they're going to do a bunch of fighting. I'd much rather be way out in the middle of nowhere where your family would be safer at. Now, of course, not everybody could do that. And I can't say that for sure that that's going to happen. And I know that John, we may have a little bit differing opinion on the reason behind this, what's coming about this this possible civil war. And you know, I think John's more way of thinking is that the Democrats are going to do everything they can to keep President Trump from getting reelected. I have a feeling, though, from what I'm seeing, knowing what's happening with the elites in Israel and knowing specifically what the Israeli government, who they're working with, they are working with entities that a good friend of mine, Chris, has shared with me in the past there, that these entities have an IQ of just guesstimating 1,000. Chris believes their IQ is as high as 9,000, but he actually knows an individual working with them in the Israeli government there with technology. And of course, that technology is to blend AI, artificial intelligence, with someone that has the right genetic makeup to blend the two together. And the Israeli government is looking, they're going through pools of people with certain genetics. They're looking for someone with the right genetic makeup where they can make this AI figure. Now, you want to talk about probably being shut down on our channel right now, or at least this video going haywire, buffering and everything. I want to share with you, when I was on with John today, I got a chance to record just a few seconds here. I went in and set my phone up because I was on the radio broadcast. A lady had called in asking a question, but before she'd even called in, suddenly these weird noises came in on my side. John couldn't hear it on his side, but it was definitely being heard on my end here. And even the engineer, she could hear it on her side as well, what was going on. And I was talking about that very subject, the artificial intelligence looking for certain people with a genetic code. Now, specifically, I know they're looking for Kohanim, the Kohanim bloodline that actually has that ability to mix this artificial intelligence. And these are these aliens, these are these entities that are wanting to do this. To me, that's the Antichrist system in getting ready to take its full swing. All right, and I'm going to play this clip for you in a second, but I want to tell you though, this is the reason why I think that they're going to bring about this civil war in this nation, because they need Trump to stay in power. They not only need him to stay in power because the Israeli authorities, the elite of the Israeli government, they need a puppet they can control. All right, not to say they can't control the Democrats, they could do that as well. They've done a very successful job, but the difference is Trump is more willingly believing that he's doing the right thing because he believes he's supporting Israel. He believes he's supporting the coming of the Messiah. But he doesn't realize it's an Antichrist spirit that he's supporting. All right? And I'm going to read something to you here in just a second too. But I want to play this clip here where this happens at, where I caught just the tail end of it there, where they tried to stop me once I began talking about the things I'm telling you now. And I was actually reading verbatim some of these things, but listen into this.
And they are in a relaxed state of mind.
Now, the lady had called in. I will say that she called in. She is actually claiming to see that she has seen people that have the ability to shape shift with their eyes, and even spoke that the optometrist that she spoke to has said they've actually witnessed this before herself. So she was asking me if I had seen that before myself, all right? Now, I began to go to answer her on that, right? But then watch what happens. Back it up again. So, because as soon as I start to speak, this is when it happens.
Alien interbreeding with the human race.
That would be my thought. Ooh, look at there. I don't know if you can hear this, John, but as soon as I speak.
You're breaking up real bad.
Yeah. And every time I would speak on there, once I got into that subject, that's what was happening. And let me just see. I'm not sure if you guys, I'm trying to see if we have our volume up all the way. So I can't tell for sure. Let me just make sure the volume's up all the way over here. Oh no, it's not. It's okay. Let me play that clip for you again so I know you guys can hear this.
Interbreeding with the human race.
That would be my thought. Ooh, look at there. I don't know if you can hear this, John, but as soon as I speak.
You're breaking up real bad.
Yeah. If you guys out there are listening to this and you happen to know what type of technology that might be, I've never heard that type of interference while you're speaking. You know, certainly you lose signal strength, something like that. That's kind of to be expected. But that's someone intentionally doing something there. And so it's pretty obvious there. But anyway, listen, I am getting very close. I'm going to be, especially when we go to Pennsylvania, I'm going to be speaking on the Antichrist, identifying the Antichrist. But I'm going to take you from all the way down through the scripture, the enmity between the woman's seed and the devil himself, the going right to the Nephilim, and how this Antichrist spirit has moved through, how they're bringing him about. But, I mentioned though to you, as far as this coming collapse here in the nation, or this civil war, and the reason why I said I believe that they would actually do this would be because, this is, and by the way, this is not Jewish people. This is very deep, elite, Kabbalist, Illuminati figures, Rothschild type figures that are trying to get control of the entire world with their New World Order, working with these fallen angels, as some people call them, aliens. But I want to read to you right here. I have the book that's up right here refuting rabbinic objections to Christianity and messianic prophecies. We're in chapter 2, Game of Thrones there. My wife shared this with me, one of the books she's studying through right now. And it's really important to understand some of the things. And this piece I'm going to share with you here was discovered in Qumran, and they're talking about the Pharisees that were in Jerusalem 2,000 years ago. All right. Now this, again, this is a writing from the Qumran scrolls. Right. Now listen to this here. Ultimately, it was question of authority over the people of Israel. But how did the Pharisees manage to take mandate, which was initially given by the Torah to the priests, and claim it as their own? How did they become the absolute authority over Judaism? With the inevitable destruction of the Second Temple in 70 AD, the priests found themselves standing on unfamiliar ground concerning their authority and their daily livelihood soon after they had lost their leadership of prestige to the rabbis. But the power struggles between the two sects started earlier, which that would really be between the Zadokite priests, the true priests, and of course the Pharisaic priests, which ends up being they're half Jews, half not Jews. They're part Edomites, part through the Maccabees. The Maccabees had brought in some of Esau's descendants, circumcised them, etc. There's a whole history about that. But anyway, a testimony to the fierce dispute between the leading sects, the Second Temple period, is found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, where it is said about the Pharisees. All right, now this is from the Dead Sea Scrolls. They're writing about the Pharisees. You probably can't see it with seeing as I'm using my phone to record this, but you have the Hebrew right up here, a section of the Hebrew there where it's speaking about what they had actually found in there. But this is what it says, right? Deceivers of Ephraim, which by their lies of teaching, tongue of falsehood, and language of fraud will mislead many. The leader of the Pharisees is described by the Dead Sea Scrolls as the preacher of deception, right? And the man of mockery, and is accused of misleading many with his deceitful teachings and even detesting the written Torah. This is in the Dead Sea Scrolls. You wonder why they don't. It was bad enough the Catholic Church wouldn't allow us to look at the Dead Sea Scrolls, but neither do the Talmudic authorities in Israel want you to be able to see what is written in the Dead Sea Scrolls, like the Isaiah scroll. Oh, they found the one that was closest thing they could get to the Masoretic text, although there are entire sentences missing out of our Masoretic texts that are in the Isaiah scroll that they use. But, the scholar I brought during oh, that's right, you guys don't even know about that. I apologize. I'm assuming you guys know. I did load that over on Patreon. The one message I did there, I go deep into the Nephilim bloodline. I call it the second remnant. That's the serpent's remnant, the one that Yeshua, when he called these Pharisees a bunch of vipers and serpents and everything else, all right? So I was tracing that from Ezra, how they brought that bloodline in, right? Now I'm going to really take this thing deep. I'm going to bring it all the way home to the Antichrist in Pennsylvania. So if you're coming to Pennsylvania, you're definitely going to get an earful. But Gianna's, we'll probably load just a little small clip that we can actually probably share on Israeli News Live, but it'll be a very short clip because she is still speaking on the same thing in Pennsylvania, but we need to she's going to be honing in this, going deeper and deeper. But like in a case like this, this is right out of the Qumran scroll, right? Right out of the Qumran scroll, and it says about the Pharisees, calls them deceivers of Ephraim, house of Israel, in other words, which by their lies of teaching, tongue of falsehood, and the language of fraud will mislead many. They're still doing it. No wonder why they want to shut us all down. And now that we know that the very elites of the Israeli government working with these entities, I shared that in that message too. That would shock you to know what's going on. That's why they don't want you to know the truth. If you want to know the truth, tune into Israeli News Live. Tune into Israeli News Live on Patreon, on BitChute. And listen, these meetings are going to be put on DVD. That's the one time we're going to finally do it. And this one I'm going to be doing, you might call it the Way of the Serpent or the Trail of the Serpent. It's really the Nephilim that I'm going to trace. and I'm going to bring it right down through to the Antichrist when we go there to Pennsylvania. And I have to thank Brother Johnny. Brother Johnny, and I won't call Brother Johnny's last name, but him and his wife Linda, they were there at the conference, and we talked extensively afterwards. And he was really hoping I was going to go right into the Antichrist, the identity of the Antichrist at this conference there. And I shared with him, I said, Brother Johnny, I said, I did everything but that, you know. And I can't identify specifically who the Antichrist is, but what I can do is show you the path, that secret path that serpent, Egyptian, demonic Nephilim bloodline has taken. And I can bring that right up to the very way they're going to bring in this Antichrist spirit. And at least you'll be a little bit better prepared to know who that man of sin is. But anyway, if you want to stand for something true, support the ministry we do. We really appreciate the help that you give us in keeping these things going. We couldn't do it without you. Visit our website, IsraeliNewsLive.org. By the way, again, Athens, Pennsylvania, by the way, is where that's going to be taking place at. I have loaded it on our website. And by the way, besides IsraeliNewsLive.org, our mailing address is on the website if you prefer to mail in to help us out with this. I will get the rest of the information up tomorrow, the exact location, but it is going to be in Athens, Pennsylvania. Some people were asking about that. I also put a little map up there. That's on the very north end of the state of Pennsylvania there, right there on the border of New York. Let's see if we jump over on the map here, kind of zoom in here for Athens. Let's see, what are we near here? New York, Pennsylvania border there. Lockwood, New York is to the north. Our Binghamton, New York is to the east of Athens. And as far as Pennsylvania, Mansfield, you're up there, right there in Mansfield. And of course, well, you guys know it better than I do. Allentown, Pennsylvania Scranton, Pennsylvania. There you go. That's probably your closest larger town would be Scranton. And Scranton looks like Scranton is about 50 miles, maybe 60 miles to Athens there. So I know some people live in Pennsylvania and say that they might come, but if it's not too far, well, we hope you come. You know, the people down that came to Orlando came as far away as California. They came, and some came from Pennsylvania, all the way to Orlando, Florida, North Carolina. We had Eddie and his wife from North Carolina. We had friends all the way from California, Colorado. We had a sister from Colorado. Anyway, I don't want to call everybody's names here. They might not want their name called and stuff like that. But yeah, Sister Kathy from Colorado there. She came in, and I don't remember everybody's names, a lot of people there, but anyway, just leave us a comment. Now that you know the city, you know, I think it's the 14th, but I'll double check on the date. I think it's 14th of September. But now that we have at least getting it down to where it's at, let us know in the comments. And like I say, you don't have to put your personal information, you can just comment on there, hey, me and my wife are coming. Me and 2 or 3 friends are coming. That way we can let our friends know there in Pennsylvania. They have a group there in Athens, and I think the entire group will be there. But from what I understand, they have a very large facility, and they can seat quite a few people. So let us know you're coming, and we'll let them know as well. Thank you for listening in today. I'm Steve Benin with Israeli News Live, Erev Tov.